In today's economic news, U.S. economic calendar and February 2023 auction forecast for government bonds and heating oil stocks. Up-to-the-minute news on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, including President Biden's surprise visit to Kiev. Colombia among the countries with the highest inflation in February 2023. Why is Joe Biden's visit to Ukraine a challenge to Russia? Discover the most popular news podcast in the U.S., The Daily. Welcome to our financial news channel. Today we bring you updated information on the two-year state obligations auction that will take place in the United States. According to our economic calendar, the auction will take place on February 21, 2023 at 6 p.m. U.S. time. The state obligations auction is an important event in the bond market and is closely followed by investors and analysts. In the last auction, the previous rate stood at 4.139%, and this auction is expected to have a significant impact on the financial market in the United States and globally. It is important to note that state obligations are considered a safe investment, since they are backed by the United States government. This makes them an attractive option for investors looking for stability and security in their investment portfolio. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Tensions between these two countries have increased significantly in recent days, and many are concerned about the possible consequences of an escalation in violence. In breaking news, U.S. President Joe Biden has paid an unannounced visit to Kiev, Ukraine to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Biden's visit is seen as a sign of support for Ukraine in its conflict with Russia. President Biden has been clear that the United States supports Ukraine's territorial integrity and has promised assistance should Russia continue its aggressive actions in the region. Meanwhile, Russia has continued its military presence in the region and has expressed concern about the situation of ethnic Russians in Ukraine. The situation is fluid and developing, so we will be closely monitoring any new information about the conflict. Latest important economic news from Colombia. Inflation in Colombia remains high, with an expected inflation rate of 13.25% for February 2023 and an expected rate of 9% for December 2023. This high inflation rate is worrisome for citizens and businesses. From Colombia. In addition, the country's analysts expect the intervention rate to remain stable at the Banco de la República meeting. The bank has been fighting to keep inflation in check by lowering interest rates, but this strategy has not had the expected results. Inflation in Colombia is a serious problem that affects the economy and the well-being of the population. Many citizens are concerned about the increase in the prices of food and services, which directly affects the quality of life. Colombia's government and business leaders are working together to address this situation and find long-term solutions to reduce inflation. It is important that effective measures are taken to stabilize the economy and protect the well-being of citizens. Inflation remains a major problem in Colombia, and it is important that government and business leaders take steps to find long-term solutions to reduce it. Recent visit of the President of the United States, Joe Biden, to Ukraine. President Biden made an unannounced visit to Kiev, Ukraine, amid the ongoing armed conflict between Ukraine and Russia. This visit is seen as a challenge to Russia and a show of support for Ukraine. Biden met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and pledged to provide economic and military aid to Ukraine. He also pledged to work with his international allies to counter Russian aggression and maintain stability in the region. Biden's visit is significant, as it is not the first time that a U.S. president has visited another country in the midst of armed conflict. Former Presidents Donald Trump, Barack Obama and George W. Bush also visited other countries in times of conflict. Biden's visit has been seen as a sign of support for Ukraine and a show of U.S. determination to support democracy and freedom around the world. It is also seen as a warning to Russia that the United States is ready to take steps to protect its allies and stability in the region. President Biden's visit to Ukraine amid the ongoing armed conflict is significant and is seen as a challenge to Russia and a show of support for Ukraine. The most popular podcast in the United States right now, The Daily. The Daily is a news podcast produced by the New York Times newspaper. It is one of the most popular news podcasts in the United States and has an audience of millions of people around the world. The program is broadcast 5 days a week and offers an in-depth look at the most important news of the day. Episodes are typically around 20 minutes long and feature some of the best journalists at the Times. Michael Barbaro, the show's host, is known for his rigorous journalistic style and storytelling ability. The Daily covers a wide range of topics, from politics and economics to culture and sports. Episodes include interviews with experts and public figures, as well as reports from the field and narratives from Times journalists. The popularity of The Daily is due in large part to its ability to provide detailed and insightful coverage of the most important news of the day. It's also very accessible, as it can be listened to anytime, anywhere, and it's a great way for people who don't have time to read the newspaper to keep up with the news. The Daily is one of the most popular news podcasts in the United States and is a great way to keep up with the biggest news of the day. If you haven't heard it yet, we recommend you do. What do you think about these news? We would be happy to read you in the comments section below. We hope you enjoyed this video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and see you in a next video.